We've barely had time to come to grips with the ongoing conversation, rapidly developing throughout the week, of the biological research laboratories in Ukraine. But the conspiracy theories are already way beyond that. They can't even see the laboratories from where they're at, and they involve birds, actually. The Kremlin's latest claim, and we're gonna give you specific quotes, is that the US has trained an army of migratory birds to carry bioweapons developed by the Ukrainian army, and that said birds are preparing to fly into Russia and deploy those bioweapons. This message was boosted by Major General Igor Konashenkov, the chief spokesman for the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. Just to be clear, outside of cartoons and some video games I can remember, birds generally are not trained for warfare, nor do they carry bioweapons. But he had more on this. Again, chief spokesperson for the Ministry of Defense of the country invading Ukraine. It says, according to the documents, in Ukraine in 2022, the American side planned to conduct works on bird, bat, and reptile pathogens, then subsequently proceeding to researching the possibility of them transmitting African swine flu and anthrax. So you take these horrible things, swine flu, anthrax, you put it into the birds, you put it into the reptiles, you put it into the bats, and then you have at them like Jurassic World or something, and we're supposed to take this seriously. Bearing in mind that a spokesperson for Russia in the last day or so said, we didn't attack Ukraine. That makes about as much sense as the bird stuff, I think. What do y'all think?
Yeah, these guys are reminding me of Baghdad Bob more and more every day. I don't know if you guys remember him. We've referenced him a couple times in our coverage. When we invaded Iraq, there was a spokesperson for Saddam Hussein, and he would constantly say the Americans are not here. And you'd see the American tanks behind him. He would say they are not pens. They are dropping pens, but they are not pens. They are bombs. No, we were actually dropping bombs. We weren't dropping pens at all. What a bizarre, needless lie, right? So, and this is one of those. And where does it come from? What a weird, weird lie. I mean, only a right winger in America would believe that. By the way, they have. Of course. I mean, it's made for idiots in America, i.e. the right wing, right? So they're like, it doesn't matter what you say. Dumbasses in the right wing in America will believe anything we say. Say that it's the butterflies. Okay, what difference does it make? So they went back to, this is a old school tale from the World Wars, right? I don't even know if it's World War I or II. And so it's so lazy on their part. The reason why they tried pigeons in a bomb, in a missile or whatever back then was because they didn't have smart bombs. Because it was the either 1918 or 1939, right? And so why would they go back to pigeons? They're smart bombs. It's like, and then you want to distribute like pathogens, drones? Like there's like a million ways to do it.
Yeah, but they can trace that random pigeon.
Oh no, they couldn't possibly trace that. Trace a pigeon too. Okay,
you know what I love about this is that I work in Hollywood. I live in Hollywood and I engage in Hollywood. I've been trying to write these like Hollywood scripts to sell, and it's like, the storylines are so ridiculous that nobody in Hollywood would buy this script. Like they will never make a movie about like killer pigeons carrying swine flu and then fly and then distributing it and people are suddenly. No, if it's too stupid to make a movie about, it's probably not true.
Yeah.
If it's too dumb that people watching this in a movie theater would be like, that's dumb. Probably, not true. Like
I disagree. I think you could do a farce, a workplace comedy. At a lab trying to weaponize birds. I could see that actually being pretty funny.
Okay.
You should work on that. I think you could make it work.
Except the right wing wouldn't think that it's a comedy. They'd be like, aha, we have evidence.
Yeah.
Okay, Michael Scott is training the pigeons. We have evidence.
We do. Anyway, I want to make sure, we're running low on time. I want to make sure that you know about some of the other misinformation that's coming out. I'm sure that you've seen this. So throughout the week, there have been more and more health facilities in Ukraine that have been bombed. So much so that it almost seems like it's not a coincidence that it's happening. Something like at least 26 have been attacked, including full-on hospitals, maternity wards, those sorts of things. Now, earlier this week, the official Twitter account for the UK's Russian embassy accused a pregnant Ukrainian woman seen in photos of a maternity hospital blast in Mariupol on Wednesday of being an actor placed in the scene by propagandists in support of Ukraine. So the idea being she's a crisis actor. She wasn't actually there. Nobody was there. Turns out, what do you know, not to be the case. Although they say, they tried to claim that the hospital itself didn't, I don't know what their idea is. She is an actress, it turns out. That was the element of truth to the conspiracy theory. Here's the thing about actresses, they sometimes get pregnant. And after a certain period, like, I don't know, 3 months to a year or so, they need to give birth. And they do that in maternity wards. So I get the idea of crisis actors, it's very seductive, but have you considered actors? They have sex too sometimes.
What?
And anyway, in the theory, they said, well, it's not just that she's a crisis actor. They used her in multiple places. They had 2, and like in high-res photos of the second woman, it didn't look anything like her. And again, to your point, the conspiracy theories are not just ridiculous, but they're lazy.
Yeah, but to my other point, if I will, it doesn't matter. QAnon, right-wingers, they love these theories. So it's like growing in popularity here in America. And once you say crisis actors, that triggers every Alex Jones fan to be like, everything's always crisis actors. It doesn't matter what the reality is, everything is crisis actors, right? So they started instantly believing it. And now you, of course, have Tucker Carlson spreading conspiracy theories on Fox News about how they're weaponizing the Ukrainian labs, and I don't know if the pigeons have gotten on Fox News yet, but I mean, Tucker Carlson has become Baghdad Bob, but it doesn't matter. His audience will believe it, hook, line, and sinker. You cannot come up with something stupid enough that a Fox News audience wouldn't believe. So in fact, there's some chance they will bring back literal lines from Baghdad Bob. So I'm gonna have fun and read just 2 to you, okay? He said, they have started to commit suicide under the walls of Baghdad, referring to the American troops. We will encourage them to commit more suicides quickly. Okay, so watch for the suicide conspiracy theory, okay? And then, I love this one. We have them surrounded in their tanks. So, what are you gonna do? It's the same propaganda, but for some reason, in this case, it has a welcome audience in the right wing in America.
As an actual actor, I can tell you there is no acting gig that other actors don't hear about because it's a very small community, and actors are always trying to get like, how'd you get that? Where'd you get that? How'd you get that? How can I sign up for that? I want to know how much crisis acting pays, and if there's residuals in crisis acting, and like, do you post in like Actors Access? Haven't the only people that have actually been caught posting trying to get actors be the Trump campaign to hire like actors of color to be at their rallies so it doesn't just look like a sea of white faces? I've seen those ads. I don't know where I've seen any ads for like hiring Ukrainian crisis actors to pretend like they're pregnant in a pretend bombed maternity hospital.
No, but Helen's point is very literal. So the reason why people found out that Trump hired actors on his very first announcement, remember when he went down the escalator? He hired a bunch of actors to pretend to be his fans. Because otherwise, who the hell was gonna show up to, at that point, Sideshow Bob declaring he was gonna be president? We all didn't know, of course, at the time that he was gonna come out and be over the top racist, and Republican voters were gonna love it. And they were like, oh my God, he just called Mexicans rapists and criminals, yes, right? And that's how Sideshow Bob won, and we know that history. But on that day, before any of that had started, he hired actors. How did we find out? Because actors talk. Actors were like, oh, this is a good job, he's paying $50.
Also, I think some of the ads were on Craigslist.
Yeah.
If you're seeing an ad on Craigslist, not a great gig.
And by the way, that's the last thing. All the right wing ever does is projection. So whatever insane thing that they're thinking, they're like, I bet the Democrats are gonna hire actors.
Massive projection.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.